What would it be like if you were able to access the wise one within rather than that child part of you or that wounded part of you or that part of you that reacts rather than responds? What would be different for you? And this is what I want to go to this year in talking to you about the soul. So, I'm Dr. Katherine.Kelly. I'm a holistic health psychologist and soul healing specialist, an author, speaker, and I want to teach you more about the soul and what life would be like if we could access that inner wisdom. So, many of you just watching this probably hadn't even thought about the fact that you had a wise aspect of you or a wise part of you that you could talk to or access or touch base with in order to get guidance. But all of us have that part within us. We have the wiser part, but we tend to fall into our human condition when we are making decisions, when we are trying to cope, when we are trying to get through something, when we're reacting to something. And wouldn't it be nice if we could access that wise one within rather than getting stuck up in those other kinds of reactions that we tend to have? So I want to share a story with you. A few months ago, I had this conversation with a long-term client that I've had for a very long time. We've talked about the inner child. We've talked about the fact that there's this little girl part of her that never feels good enough, that never feels like she's overcoming or doing things well enough or being a good enough daughter or a good enough mother or whatever might be the case in the moment. And so we've talked about that and how to overcome that. And just a few months ago, I asked her, what would it be like if you instead accessed that wise woman within? And I basically said to her, what would the wise woman within you say? And there was a pause and a very mindful and intentional thought. And she said, I've never thought about having a wise person within. And then she paused again, and then she came back with a really wonderful answer as far as very strong and robust and wise and clear for how she would handle the same situation. And she was able to see very quickly, not only, wow, I can access that part of me, but she also realized, wow, I do have that part within me. And so that is the soul aspect. That is who we are from a soul. We actually have a lot of wisdom that is stored within us. Anybody who believes in past lives or reincarnation would understand that we have wisdom within us that we have carried along through those lifetimes and have accumulated, but we don't access it as a human. We forget, we've distanced ourselves or disconnected ourselves from our soul aspect. That deepest part is who we are, the wisest part of who we are. But if we just pause long enough to sort of listen and go, wow, what would the wise aspect of me do? We usually have an answer. And so this is one way to do that dive into our soul, is to really realize, wow, I just need to pause. I need to pause and listen and access a deeper part of myself. Because the reactivity that we have, the knee-jerk reactions, the reactivity is usually based in our trauma or our woundedness from this lifetime, from the human condition. And so we forget to access that inner wisdom. We forget to access our soul. And I tell people, I'm in the middle of writing the third book in my Soul of Psychology series. And this one is on trauma. And I start the book by saying that trauma writes our story. And basically what I mean by that is that the story of our human life really gets seasoned and written according to our wounds. It gets seasoned and written and scripted according to what we've been through. But if we go beneath that, we actually have wisdom there. We have our soul's wisdom that we can access. So whenever you think about a reaction to something or something that you want to respond to instead of react, it's that whole idea of stopping to access your soul's wisdom. It's pausing. It's basically illuminating that part within you that has been squashed down or hidden that really all of us have. Same thing when we think about gut reactions. When we have a gut reaction to something, that gut reaction is the voice of our soul. It's an instinct. It's something that comes when we don't even know why it's coming as strongly as it is, but there's something within us that is trying to guide us. It is also that hesitation that we have sometimes when we are expected to do something or there's something we don't want to do. That hesitation is part of our soul's wisdom. It is telling us, wow, pull back. There's some reason you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing. And I have lots of examples of that. Regret. Anytime we have regret, it means we've betrayed that deepest part of who we are, because usually when we go into something, we have some hesitation. If we know it's absolutely right, we'll go right into it. But that hesitation is basically part of our soul's wisdom saying, "Ooh, you might want to watch what you're doing here. You might want to reconsider." But then when we go forward and we do something and we have regret, we can usually step back and say, "Oh my gosh, I knew I wasn't supposed to do that." I can't tell you the number of people that I've talked to who knew they shouldn't get married to the person they got married to. Their gut was telling them, but they got married and then it blew up and all kinds of things happened. So it's that wise one within us that we have to start accessing. And part of the reason that I'm really encouraging people to look at this wise one now is that, we're entering an era, especially in our country, in the United States, that there's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of turmoil. There's going to be a lot of things flipping over because this new government, we don't even know what it looks like or is going to look like, but it's going to stir things up. And it's going to stir things up from both sides. It's going to stir things up from within. A lot of the processing that clients have been doing ever since the election has been because their wounds have come to the surface, and their fears, their wounds, their anger, their frustrations, all of those things have come to the surface. And I'm trying to use that as fodder for growth for them to say, okay, those are the buttons that are getting pushed because your soul wants you to heal right now. Your soul wants you to clear the slate. It wants you to clear off all of these traumas or wounds that you've accumulated for so long because your inner wisdom wants to speak, but it's very hard to hear that inner wisdom and that wise one within if you're piled up with all of this stuff from the human condition. So it's another reason why right now it is imperative for us to go within. It is imperative for us to really start seeking that alignment within so that we can get ourselves grounded and get ourselves focused so that we can really evaluate where we're going as we move forward. And like I said, the United States is going through a lot of turmoil, but if you look around the world is going through turmoil, and everybody on this planet is being asked from source to basically start doing that self-evaluation. Go within, figure out what your values are, figure out how to take the high road, figure out how to be in your own integrity, figure out who you are from that deepest self and align. And I want to bring in religion for a moment. I actually honor religion. I grew up in a religion. I actually loved the ritual. I did not integrate the meaning of the religion a lot because it didn't fit for me, but I honor it in many ways. However, one of the things that I really don't so much enjoy about modern religion or organized religion is that oftentimes you're told to not listen within. You're taught that it's almost a sin to listen within and that you're always supposed to listen without. You're supposed to listen to the Lord, listen to everything outside of you. But that goes against what Christ taught. It goes against that alignment with self. And so it's one of those things where it's super important, I think, to reintegrate the soul, integrate listening to yourself, because that is how you create your optimal life. That is how you understand what is aligned with you rather than listening outside of you, which creates so much regret and woundedness anyway. Now, again, I'm not dissing religion altogether. I'm just basically saying it is so important for us to get back to our souls. Same thing with a lot of cultural kinds of ideas or masculine, feminine kinds of ideas, or, this is really what we're here to do, is break through some of that and figure out what our truth is. Now, that is one of the biggest things I think that I, have to work with people about is their identity, because their identities have been shrouded or influenced or seasoned so much by what people have told them that they have lost themselves, lost their priorities, lost their values, or maybe never had them. And that's what causes a lot of suppression of the soul, which is what I consider most depression to be. That's what I think causes a lot of energetic misalignment, which is what a lot of anxiety is created by. And then it goes back to the trauma piece, that trauma really writes our story, but our story needs to be written by our souls, not by our trauma and our wounds. So I'm trying to help people realize that we have to get back to that self. We have to get back to that deepest, innermost ally that we have, so that we can actually rise above any challenge that we have. This is really what this is all about, is aligning ourselves so that we can cope better, have a better set of tools, understand that we can go to ourselves more. I would love it if I put myself out of a job as a therapist, because of the fact that if I could get everybody to align with their soul and understand and heal and clear their slate from all these wounds, they wouldn't need me anymore. And that would actually be what ultimately would want most is that people wouldn't need me anymore in that way, because they would have that alignment. They would be aligned in their way that is going to really help them overcome anything. Now, the human condition is relentless. I joke that basically it's like a Pez dispenser, that the second you get through one thing, here comes another and another and another. And also that every time we heal something, well, here comes the next layer and here comes the next angle that we have to look at. So the human condition is always going to be in opposition of our soul. But if we get our soul strong, if we get our soul to the place where we can have that toolbox and go within and really listen to what it is that we need to do or say or how we need to behave, we're going to overcome anything. So this year is really about giving you many more tools, many more options for how to understand that the soul is really part of every single thing that we do. So I have more books coming out. The trauma book should be out this spring, late spring. I have webinars coming up. I have free offerings that I'm going to be doing. And I also have the soul health certifications that are coming. And I'm so excited. I cannot even tell you how excited I am to teach other practitioners and coaches and educators and administrators to do what I do and know what I know, because that will take their work so much further, but it will also take you much further in being able to really go within and just listen to that wise one. So my charge to you, my call to action for you right now, is to basically consider, what is the wise person within you trying to say to you right now? What are they wanting you to work on? What is that deepest part of you telling you or instructing you to do that is going to get you to that next level? And so it's that deepest part of you that is the golden part of you, and we just need to get back there. So more to come. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this gave you some food for thought, and just keep going within, going to that space of depth, going to that space of your wisest self, and you will have many more of the answers than you've ever had before. Have a wonderful day. And again, this is about me bringing ancient wisdom to the modern soul for you. So teaching you how to do this human modern life through bringing the soul back into its rightful place. Have a good day.